Welcome to the Voice of Retail. I'm Michael LeBlanc, your host. The Voice of Retail is produced in conjunction with Retail Council of Canada, and it's presented by Hale, a performance marketing partner trusted by brands like ASICS, Sage, and Orange Theory to scale with focus and impact. Eric, welcome back to the Voice of Retail podcast, my friend. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Michael. It's an annual tradition to be together. Thanks for having me again.
It as the leaves fall and the snow flies, Eric Morris is on the Voice of Retail podcast, and I think it's 5 or 6 times. And as you say, it's a tradition, and often it is the catalyst. At least you and I don't need much of a catalyst to talk to each other, but the catalyst is your holiday report. So you've got that ready to go. You got some great insights as always. But let's start out with the foundation. Not everybody, who knows? I think everybody knows who you are. But, I got some listeners outside the country. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, thank you for the lovely introduction. My name's Eric, the managing director of our retail practice here at Google Canada. And I spend a lot of time here working with retailers. I've been at Google for over 23 years, a good chunk of that time working with retailers in Canada, general merchandise, grocery, apparel, brands based in Canada who sell to Canadians, brands like Lululemon based in Canada and sell to customers all over the world, and work with these retailers to help them use Google and YouTube to drive sales online, drive sales in their store, and build their brand. So we have a team of sales folks, account managers, data science, analytics, technical folks who work with these retailers every day.
Has anyone talked to you about what you get on the 25th anniversary? Do you get like a nice pen or a watch or maybe
That's a good question.
I don't know. I imagine it'd be something special. I imagine there's not a lot of people in the organization that hit, 23, 20.
No, Google's had this, right? As you probably know, this long tradition with the Google Doodles, sort of an unusual history where we would change our logo. And have a custom doodle for holidays and world events. So one of the traditions here is on anniversaries for Googlers, 10 or 20 years, you get a custom Google doodle.
Oh, that's fun.
Caricature of you or personalized for you. So yeah, it's a nice little souvenir. Well,
my recommendation to all the folks listening from Google is at 25 years as a Canadian, and the whole Google should look like your custom doodle on that day, not just some kind of plaque that you put up on the wall.
Touching.
It should, Laura, if you're listening, do the whole thing. Anyway, so there you go. All right, well, let's get to it. So like I said, we often get together because of your Retail Holiday Insights report. You got one for 2025. Lots of other stuff we'll be talking about, but let's go through the data. So the first thing that jumped out at me, 73% of holiday purchases were researched in advance. Not that surprising. Half of all purchases happen a week or more after contemplation. Or that struck me as a bit of new information or a bit of a lag. Am I right on that?
I think so. Look, there's an element of this. We've been doing this for many years, where there's this almost beautiful continuity. There are some truisms in what we do and how people shop, and then of course there are nuances given the moment or where Canadians are at, or where tools like Google are that frankly shine light on some of these changes. So I think you're right. People going online and researching things they want to buy. Is a truism. I think the context, though, is the macro environment. Look, a couple dimensions there. As shoppers, we have lots of choice. There's more choice than ever, more brands, more places to buy things, more products and selections. So it's inevitable that as we try and narrow down our choices, we feel the need to do more research. I think the macro environment also shows, a Canadian shopper that is more choiceful. We have a lot of choice, but we are more choiceful. We're looking for price, for value, for convenience, right? Every purchase feels very, very deliberate in this particular moment for Canada. And with that brings like a lot more research online. I'll also say that I don't think that the amount of research Canadians do is fixed. The truth is the tools are better. Google search is better today than it was a year ago or 5 years ago. I think we've done a great job reducing the friction, right? From the time you have like a question in your head about anything, including things you want to buy, to like trying to get an answer and get the best answer possible. When we provide better and more information, people search more. And so we're seeing more people search in all sorts of different ways through text and video and visual ways of search. I'm sure we'll get to that later. But as Google has improved, we've seen more Canadians coming online to search and search more often. And so that's another consideration that's driving the increase in research online.
I recall from prior conversations that one of these startling factoids that Canadians searched more than almost anyone else on the planet. And you and I were like, I wonder why that is. I mean, there's, the platform is plus or minus as good here as it is elsewhere. You just said, you guys have done an amazing job of filtering. But, just the behavior of search seems to be a big behavior for Canadians. Does that persist in your mind whether it's this or other factors you look at or other research you look at?
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I probably first discussed that many years ago. I think it is one of these, truisms. There are many places where Canada may feel like we are behind U.S. or global counterparts. I think our digital savviness as a nation is high, among the highest in the world. Canadians have long searched more online, watched more videos online, engaged with social media more online, banked more online. It was online shopping that, of course, lagged for a long, long time. COVID was a forcing function to help us catch up. We're not all of the way there yet, but we're really, really close. So I think you're right. Canadians leverage search and video and lots of online tools more. We punch above our weight relative to global peers.
Well, or maybe we're just a very curious people that are open to new ideas. I think there's a cultural element to it, as well as being digitally enabled, as you say, as digital leaders.
Yeah.
So, I think there's an element.
That's a good point.
That. We just want to. We're open to learning more things, perhaps, as a culture. Who knows? The thing that jumped out at me, I'm sure it jumped out at you as well. I'm sure you're swimming in this pool every day. Is Canada's first AI powered holiday season. And boy, it's come faster than I thought it would. I mean, we've been talking about AI. I've been talking about AI with retailers behind the scenes, efficiencies and these things. But suddenly, it has burst out onto the scene. And the numbers, I was looking at some Leger numbers about Canadians using AI, whether it's purposeful or whether it's baked into your results. The increases are just phenomenal. So are you seeing this, and how do you expect that to redefine discovery? Let's talk about that for a while.
Yeah. Well, I do think when you reflect on the last decade or two, and you've been in this industry a long, long time, we have had these moments. I think the internet was a moment that changed everything and changed retail and shopping specifically. There was the mobile moment, where you didn't have to go online. All of a sudden you were online and you had access in your pocket, and all of a sudden you're shopping on your phone, and you could shop from anywhere. That was a moment. COVID was a moment in this country. As I said a few minutes ago, we were behind in terms of our ability and desire, maybe more ability than desire, but behind global peers shopping online, and COVID forced us to catch up. Of course, when stores reopened, some of that e-commerce behavior reverted. We're still above historical norms. We're in, and so I share all that because if you think like internet, mobile, the e-com acceleration during COVID, AI feels like another one of those moments right now. And we sort of describe it as like, this is Canada's first AI-powered holiday shopping season, and AI is a true shopping companion in helping Canadians from discovery to research and consideration, ultimately down to purchase. Canadians are adopting these tools broadly. As you said, there are some sort of use cases where it's very specifically like a AI tool, and I'll use like AI mode or others where you're like explicitly turning to something that is different and AI. There are other instances where it's like an augmentation of sort of existing tools that you may be using, like AI overviews, those AI summaries at the top, but Canadians are finding it helpful, and almost half of Canadian shoppers this holiday season intend to use one of these tools, which is incredible because that would have been 0% a couple of years ago, right? We've gone from 0 to 50.
Yeah, 100%. Now, at what percent, speaking of percentage, I don't know if you got this number, but maybe it's a directional number. So when I search in Google for whatever I'm searching for, most times, I would say 90% of the time, I get that AI summary in the top. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes it goes to, I'll call it conventional or, pre-2025 results. When I think about this, 43%, I think it said in the survey, are using AI tools. Now, we use the term forcing function, but really when so many Canadians are using Google and they're being served up AI results, it really, is really higher than that in some ways. But what percentage of your results feature AI content at the top, and how do you guys think about what you serve when?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you're right. These are the limitations of surveys, and so while the survey may say 43%, there are many that are using it and may not know it and may not have sort of answered the question as intended. So you're right. The survey, as impressive as those numbers are, probably understate adoption today. I think what you described, like when I search, what appears. I mean, Google has been thinking about this for a long, long time. Do we show an AI overview, which is a summary of content from across the web, right? To distill that information down into sort of like bite-sized information and show the sources. And if somebody wants to learn more about a topic or where that information come from, they can click through to the site. Or do we just show like one of 10 blue links? Or do we show a video? Or do we show a map listing? Or do we show an ad? These are choices Google has always done, and it really depends on the query, the individual, what we believe will be like serve the customer, and in this case, the searcher best in that moment, right? When I search like sushi, like you may get maps listings because you order in a lot. I may get recipe listings because I cook a lot. So often, like what is shown is a very personalized experience based on what we believe the individual wants in that given moment. I don't have exact numbers on what percentage of queries have an AI overview today, but as we've reported publicly, that number is increasing as we believe it's more helpful, and we see searcher satisfaction increase when people are exposed to AI overview. So our internal data says when they're exposed, when we've made that decision to show an AI overview, the searcher is like happier and more likely to come back to Google and search more, which is a great sign for us.
I also think of this behavioral transformation, and you guys were a big part of the behavioral transformation of shopping online to searching versus browsing, right? People would, instead of clicking on categories, they would go and start searching. And that just became an ingrained behavior everywhere for everyone doing everything. I wonder, I've heard some numbers that the average search query has gone from 5 to 35 words. I certainly search differently now than I did a few years ago. I'm much more robust. I'm looking for sushi, and they better have good toro and fresh rice, and maybe it's in Markham, and I want seats at the bar, and I want a little floaty boat that comes, just a very much more longer string. So it feels like you guys have to, are you seeing that? And then how are you reflecting that in we'll get to advice to retailers about how to get in and on this and make sure they're present.
We are seeing that. We are seeing people search differently as the tools have changed, and the results are different and improved. Right, as we release new capabilities, right, Canadians match us and search differently. So I'll give you an example. Like from your early days working at like large Canadian retailers, someone may have searched for like best laptop. And you would have 10 or 20 different retailers, right, that would all have an ad that said like, we sell the best laptops, come for the best laptops on sale. Their ad would be the same, the landing page would be the same, and somebody searching for best laptop, I mean, it could be a student, it could be somebody in an office, it could be like best grandma or grandpa, right, looking for a laptop to send emails, and we really didn't know. And so people searched using the same term, but we didn't really understand what it was they were looking for, and had to hope that they would find what they're looking for in one of those blue links, and that wherever they landed and decided to go, they would find the information that they're looking for. Today, as you described, people are searching in much more interesting ways because they know that the more they give, like the more they'll get back. And the more specific you are about the type of laptop you want, and you use it for homework or for videos, or I'm a YouTube creator, right? I crank out a lot of spreadsheets. I need something that's light or durable. The more information you provide, the better results you get. So you get longer queries, more descriptive queries. And that creates, I think, a really interesting dynamic on the side of the retailer, where the onus is now on them to ensure that they have the content, right? Yeah. And the landing page that matches, right, how Canadians are searching in different ways. So certainly, I think the queries are changing. We recently released, so that's one dimension. I'll walk through a couple others. There's, I think, AI mode, which is that like conversational type search experience that has been out in Canada for about a month or two. And we're seeing people search again longer. It's more of like a back and forth dialogue with Google to help you find exactly what you're looking for. And it's personalized, and it's using like higher level like reasoning and judgment to give you what you're looking for. But it's that like conversational experience rather than like words in, words out. I think the third sort of dimension I would provide as an example is like in the old days, it was very much like text in, text out. You'd type in a few words, you'd hit enter and get like a bunch of blue links back. Increasingly, people are searching in all sorts of different ways, and not just with text. So visual search is on the rise, right? It's not text in, text out. It's picture in and like retailer out, right? So I see a pair of boots or running shoes that I like. I don't know the brand. I wouldn't even know how to describe it. But today I can take a picture of something I like and all of a sudden be connected with websites that provide reviews and where to buy it. So increasingly, what we find at Google is 1 in 5 visual searches have commercial intent, right? They're taking a picture of something and searching with it because they want to buy something, right? It lends itself very, very well to that retail experience. So searching in different ways, whether it's like, conversational, longer queries, or increasingly a visual type search, are some of the ways that I think search has evolved and modernized over the last year or two.
What order of change, or what magnitude of order of change is it for retailers to do? Let's say we've got a category of retailer, your clients, my counterparts, that are doing a great job in optimizing their sites for Google last year, right? They're doing all the things right, check off all the boxes. What order of magnitude changes to be up to standard for building authority or being in AI results? Is it just keep doing what you're doing? Is it, boy, you better multiply your content 10x or your images 10x? Yeah. Like, do you have a sense yet as an organization of the advice you give to your retailers? Say, you were best in class last year, but with this new AI, you got some work to do. How do you think about that?
It's a very good question, and very top of mind for retailers. I don't think we always know is the honest answer. I'll give you a couple examples. On the marketing side of things, where retailers provide a feed to Google, and it's a feed of their SKUs, the prices, the description, the photos, the offers, and any number of other attributes. There's really all of that has been automated for probably 10 years. And as people search differently, the retailers are sort of following the consumers in lockstep, and frankly, don't really need to do anything differently, right? As you search differently and are more specific for, again, that laptop example, the attributes you provide in the feed are largely sufficient, and you'll still appear. I do think there are a lot of questions around content. We see lots of retailers asking questions and starting to innovate with richer product descriptions on their landing page. So if you think of like the specs and description of your product on that like individual like student laptop page that you're selling, you may have had like a description that was like a few sentences or a paragraph. There's now a belief that generative AI used by the retailer right, can provide like richer and better descriptions for those landing pages and do so more efficiently. There's another dimension, which is photography and video, right? Traditionally, like very, very expensive to shoot a lot of high quality photos of the products you sell or shoot like individual videos. The photos and videos are important signals on sort of where you appear in the more modern search experience. AI used by retailers today makes it easier to create like more variations of the photos, or take like the front of your shoes, right, and a side photo of the shoes and create like a 3D image of the shoes or a video, and do that for all like 10,000 shoes you sell. Right. So retailers are starting to use like Gen AI capabilities to improve the descriptions on their landing pages, right? Create more images, create videos, right? Videos from their images, all in an effort, right, to provide more information to AI tools and better provide sort of content to consumers, and hope that they then choose you.
We'll be right back after these messages. The Voice of Retail is brought to you by Hale, the partner behind some of the fastest growing DTC and retail brands in North America. Hale is recognized for senior teams who cut out the noise and keep their focus on what matters most: growth. Their approach is based on outcomes, not hours. They are selective with who they partner with, bringing speed, accountability, and a clear strategy to every engagement. Paid media, content, performance, all of it connects directly to real results. That's why brands like A6 Sage and Orange Theory choose Hale to help them scale. Learn more at wearehale.com. You know, over the course of my career, I remember that you and I've talked about this before. I remember going to this conference in the States, and I came back, and this was late 90s and early 2000s. And I'm like, we got to get on this Google thing. This could be big one day. And there was a time that as a retailer, you could focus on Google and get really good at it and actually have a differentiation advantage versus your competitor. Now, that's probably less true than it ever was before. Everybody's really good at, they've learned, and you can find talent much more so than you could 20 years ago. It feels like this AI versioning of you're using AI to generate content for AI will be a very shorter cycle when everybody gets pretty good at it. How are you guys thinking about that? Like the difference of here's a retailer that does it really, really well using AI tools versus someone who is not using AI tools. That's probably going to be a differentiation. But when everybody starts to use the same AI tools, everybody's going to be just equal again. Or is there some advantage to be gained there by really, really focusing on it?
It's an interesting question. So I think on one hand, Google and others democratized information, democratized advertising specifically. There was a time when, the only way you could advertise is if you had a big budget and hired an ad agency and had a lot of in-house talent. Google and others made it really, really easy and leveled the playing field and allowed a small independent retailer to compete and both appear on Google in that moment of truth and compete with the biggest players in the world. So on one hand, it's democratizing. Your question's very thought-provoking. Here's what immediately came to mind. We have had the ability through advertising to tell a omnichannel retailer what percentage of the clicks from Google led to someone visiting their store. Okay. We've had that for 10 or 12 years in Canada. And so you would think, my God, we have solved that connection between like the digital and the physical worlds. Every retailer surely will now be able to know, right, the in-store impact of online advertising. We've leveled the playing field. We've given that technology to everyone. The honest answer is that most retailers, if not somewhere between most and almost all retailers who have stores, still measure their the value of their digital channel by what happens through e-commerce and e-commerce only. So despite having all of this technology and great innovation, retailers have been slower than you would think. And in the process, it's created an incredible opportunity for those who are progressive and innovative and lean into this to differentiate. And so it's shocking that a retailer who measures the online and in-store impact of the digital channel could differentiate despite everyone having access to these tools. And the truth is they do. Store is the best example of that. The idea of like lifetime value and measuring beyond just like one order and one basket is like very, very similar. Almost every retailer has the ability today and has had the ability for probably 10 years to measure, if not the lifetime value, like some sort of like future value of a customer and understand that as part of like their digital channel. The truth is almost all retailers value digital today based on like, what have you done for me lately? What did I get from that last sale and only that last sale? It's shocking. So there is still plenty of room to differentiate with technology, old and new.
You've been evangelizing that for years. You're right. I mean, I don't think you can have a presentation from Eric Morris without reminding everybody, you can measure this stuff, right?
Yeah, and
so you're right.
It's beyond measurement. It's you have to do something with it, and that's the hard part. It's not having the data. It's being able to make a decision, and that's always been the hard part. It's hard because it may lack precision. It's hard because retailers can be siloed. The incentive structures, right? The folks who own a digital budget or manage the digital channel may internally, right, be rewarded, compensated, recognized, right, based on e-commerce only. So why should they do something that supports the broader organization when it may be misaligned with their incentives? I mean, they should, but it's hard when the incentives aren't aligned. Right? We've been fighting this battle for like 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, if not longer.
Yeah. I have a meeting. I literally have a meeting tomorrow with a large retailer in Canada to do just this, is to help reiterate the importance, right, that your digital channel has, not just on digital, but driving sales online and in your stores.
It's missionary work, Eric. I can't think of anybody that would. It's missionary work. Last couple of questions for you, and I did want to get back to one or two things from the survey. Gen Z, let's talk about this. 64% of Gen Z shoppers use 10 or more resources when shopping. That's an attribution nightmare. What else did you learn about the Gen Z shopper?
Yeah, it's interesting. And of course, every business and every retailer is trying to win that next generation of shopper. I mean, at a high level, they search more. And we know that through signed in user data in aggregate, right? Signed in users of Google who are 18 to 24 search more frequently than any other age group, right? In a world where consumers have lots of choice, not just where to buy things, but where to get information. They are continuing to choose Google and doing so more than other generations. So they search more. They tend to search for more categories, like simultaneously, like search for more in different things all at once. They leverage more sources of information, and that's probably why one of the reasons why Google is so helpful is to just help them find what they're looking for across lots of different sources. We also know they're more likely to use some of these new ways of searching. I'll use circle to search as an example, right? Where you can see a picture of something in a YouTube video or a social feed or a blog, and just circle like the product that's of interest in the photo from whatever it is you're looking at, and quickly see, there's a photo of like a shirt I like. Just circle the shirt, and I'll be able to see like reviews and where to buy it. So they use like new features like circle to search more. And on YouTube, and we've spent a lot of time talking about Google. I mean, YouTube has long been like the second most popular search engine in the world, and like an increasingly important place that shoppers turn to research and influence like purchases, right? More likely to use YouTube as well as part of their shopping journey.
I saw a startling statistic. I think it was Scott Galloway was saying that the amount of content uploaded to YouTube in a few days is equal to all the content that exists on Netflix. Just the massive amount of content. Of course, I contribute to it myself in all kinds of funny ways. All right, last question for you. Turning your mind to 2026, retailers right now are of course focused on holiday, but they're also in parallel focused on planning for 26. Any advice they should be thinking about as they craft their strategies for the coming year?
Well, I'll go back to that question you asked around like the magnitude of the change. It feels like we're in a period of profound change, and across many dimensions we are. But I think there are some like timeless truths, and so I think if we were back here next year, and hopefully we will be. Yes. There are some truths to what we do. I think if you are a retailer today, like you want to be found. When someone is searching for you, however they search for you, with a couple words, if they type in like 35 words, if they're taking a picture of something because they want to buy it, you want to be found. And we're less than a month from Black Friday, holidays specifically. As a retailer, like you want to be found as shoppers are thinking about what to buy and starting to like put products and retailers on the list. So you want to be there early. You want to win like the peak moments. And then after Cyber Monday, there's still like many weeks of elevated shopping in Canada. And like you want to be found too, right through like Boxing Day. So like you want to be found as a marketer. Like you need to have like clear goals. Are you looking to drive sales, market share, profitability? Are there must-win categories? If you're an omnichannel retailer and you have stores, you need to understand, you need to understand like the omni impact of the digital investment, not just e-com, but sales. And you increasingly need to find a way to reach people who are searching for things and being influenced on YouTube, shopping hauls, reviews, unboxings, creator-led content. It's a really, really important place to be. It's not just about 10 blue links and having like really rich text. You need to be there like sight, sound, and motion as well. So I think like, all of those things are true. This AI moment though is a big one. And I think there are some like, tweaks to that strategy that are really, really important for retailers. I think the first is around content. Like we touched on it earlier, but that would be probably the first place that I would lean in. Make sure that you have really rich listings, feeds, descriptions, attributes, photos, videos, right? Like to ensure that you like win those moments and you show up as people increasingly search, in different ways. Many retailers are talking about sort of an agentic shopping experience. AI overviews or AI mode like can do like one or many things all at once. But I think many retailers and shoppers envision a world where I may be able to automate more of the research and maybe write down ultimately into purchase. And I think, again, having the right content and assets puts you like in the best position to win those moments. So again, I'd sort of come back to probably a year from now, 70 or 80% of it is like is around the same. And it's those like beautiful basics around like showing up, having like clear business and marketing goals to which your North Star for these tools, and then continuing to optimize for an AI, a more AI focused world, an agentic world, which really does start with content. Those are the places that I would lean in the coming weeks and months to help you win, not just this year, but holiday shopping next year and beyond.
Well, things are moving fast, and I can't think of anybody better here to help retailers get through it. How do people get a hold of you or the great people in your team?
Absolutely. I can be reached at, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm also at emorris@google.com if anyone has any questions. And if we can include a link to the research. Sure. I'll post it on LinkedIn as well. And if anyone wants to download the full report and some of the tools I mentioned today, whether it's around improving the content on your site or how do you measure in-store activity from digital, I'm happy to provide some of that information as well.
Oh, fantastic. Well, always a popular episode with the listeners, and it's a favorite of mine. I always learn something talking to you, and I really I appreciate you for what you do and our long friendship. So thanks again for joining me on the Voice of Retail podcast. Always great to hear your voice. And I think we're going to have to do this early next year, as AI is moving pretty quick. So I think if we wait too long, some information is going to pass us by. So we'll get you back on earlier in the year next year and maybe do a double hit and anyway, get you back in the mic and keep up with all this agentic AI business.
Thanks for having me as always. And, really appreciate the insight and hope to see you next year.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of The Voice of Retail. If you haven't already, follow on your favorite podcast platform so new episodes will land automatically each week. And be sure and check out my other retail industry media properties, the Remarkable Retail Podcast with Steve Dennis and the Global E-Commerce Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Michael LeBlanc, Senior Retail Advisor, Keynote Speaker. If you want more content or chat, follow me on LinkedIn. Safe travels, everyone.